Hello, team. Rick Fuller here. Did you know the most common question that I'm asked of aspiring real estate agents, those that are interested in succeeding at very, very high levels? The most common question I'm asked is this: Rick, what is the difference between a struggling agent and a succeeding agent? What's the difference? And what they've seen out in the community is some agents are struggling while others are succeeding at a very, very high level. And what's the difference? Well, after spending the last 15 years studying this industry inside and out, working with real estate agents throughout the community and all across the country, I can summarize it into one word: focus. The ability for the real estate professional to focus on the things that matter most is by far the most important characteristic for them moving from a struggling agent to a succeeding agent. It doesn't mean that they haven't struggled. It doesn't mean that they will not struggle in the future, but to move from struggling to succeeding, it's going to take a massive amount of focus. In the late 1800s, Italian economist Wilfredo Pareto observed a principle. The principle he observed in Italy was that 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. 80% of the land was owned by 20% of the people. And he paralleled that principle to many things in life. You might realize that that principle resonates with you in all areas of your life. For example, if you want to have a healthier life, you know that there are two, maybe three things that you can do. If you eat right and you exercise and drink a lot of water, you're likely to be healthier. If you want to have greater finances, probably saving money, investing, and staying out of debt are the things you could do that if you did those few things, it would produce incredible results. They're the few things that you can do that produce all of the results that are needed. Microsoft observed this principle. Microsoft realized if they fixed 20% of the most common bugs, 80% of the crashes would go away. That is no different than in the real estate business. Real estate agents ought to focus on the few things that generate the most amount of the results. Those few things can be summarized into three key areas. And a specialist should be spending the majority of their time focusing on these three things. Number one, customer generation. Customer generation. Number two, customer conversion. And number three, delivering the kind of experience that your customers would be excited to tell a friend about. That's it. Those are the three things. If you accomplish those three things and spend your time focusing on these three things, you will have incredible results. In other words, you should not have a to-do list of a million things to do, but to have a not to-do list, focusing not on those other activities that most real estate agents do, but focusing on the things that produce the highest return on your time and energy. And it is always customer generation, customer conversion, and delivering the kind of experience your clients would be excited to tell a friend about. These are the 3% that generate 97% of the results. So let's kind of dig a little bit deeper. And today's video is going to be really about customer generation. So when we look at customer generation, let's first define, what do I mean by a customer? What I'm not describing when I talk about a customer, I am not talking about a lead. I'm not talking about a name or somebody who posted something on the internet or maybe a phone number. I'm not talking about a name and an email address. I'm talking about somebody that fits a particular criteria. All customers fit a criteria of 5. You can remember these by your hand by having these 5 criteria, what a customer it needs to have in order to be defined as a customer. Number one is they have to have a real name. Can't be Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck. It needs to be a real, authentic, genuine name. Number two, They have to have a phone number, and it's not 555 555 55555. That is not a real phone number. Number three, they need to have an email address, and it's not do not contact me at gmail.com. It's a real email address. Number four is they have to be willing to buy or sell a property now or in the near future. And that may be somebody that you're working with currently. It may be somebody that you're nurturing, but they have a desire to buy or sell real estate now or in the near future. And number five is they are not a real estate agent or have not a representation agreement with any other agent. That would be a conflict of agency. So if they give you their name, their phone number, their email address, they want to buy now or in the near future, and they have not or are not an agent, they are a customer. Now let's talk about generate. Generate is a proactive term. It means that you're doing something proactively. You're not just simply waiting for something to come in. You're not just hoping something comes in. You're not just sitting there watching your social media feed or looking at your text or email. You're actually generating. You're doing something proactive. Stephen Covey wrote a book, The 7 Highly Effective Habits of People. He said the number one habit of highly effective people is they are proactive. And so generate is a proactive term. So let's kind of look at those. Now, you know this, most real estate agents do a little bit of everything. I like to think that they're a jack of all trades and frankly, a master of none. And they are very, very busy with lots of activities. They are managing their transactions, they're creating their flyers, they're simply doing all of their customer generation, they're doing every activity, they're even on the Association of Realtors bowling league. They have all the education and designations you can imagine. They have a GRI, a CRES, but no MONEY. How do we change that? How do you focus on the things that matter most? You do that with a great team. A real estate team can help you get the things that need to be done efficiently and effectively by working with a real estate team, enabling you as a specialist, buyer or listing specialist, to focus on those three things: customer generation, customer conversion, and delivering the kind of experience your clients are excited to tell a friend about. If at the end of the week, you look back on your calendar and you spent your time, energy, and resources there, you focused on growing and learning in those areas, scripts and dialogues, you practiced, you role played, and you spent your hours during the course of your work week on those three categories, you will be successful in real estate. You will move from a struggling real estate professional to a successful real estate professional. So let's kind of boil down these three things that it takes within customer generation. Okay, what does that mean, Rick? What does that look like? I know what a customer is. They're defined by the 5. I know generation is a proactive activity, but what does that actually look like? Well, when you look at customer generation, there's really actually two sides of the same coin. There are two things that you ought to know. The first thing that you ought to know is that there's a primary business. A specialist has a certain amount of specialty, an area of professionalism, an area of focus, a study. If you're a buyer specialist, your knowledge base, it is to serve our buyers. It is to serve our buyer clients. But that's only one side of the coin. Every buyer needs a seller, and every seller needs a buyer. And so the first side of the coin is your primary area of focus. It's what you get really good at. You get a pulse on the market. You know, if you're a buyer specialist, you know every home for sale. If you're a listing specialist, you know the price and you have a pulse on marketing and advertising property to procure a great offer in the quickest amount of time with the least amount of inconvenience. Like that's your area of specialty. But you also have a supplemental income, because while you're serving them as a buyer specialist and representing them on the purchase, you're working in partnership with a listing specialist that's helping them sell. Or if you're a listing specialist, while you're helping them sell, you're working in partnership with our buyer specialist, helping them buy. So we have a primary business and we have a supplemental business, and they are both sides of the coin that complement one another. They're both synergistic. They work well together. What we'd call vertical integration. You're going deep in the business that you know. When we look at the primary source of business for either a buyer specialist or a listing specialist, you could break it down in 3 categories. I'm going to share my screen with you now and give you a visual of what I'm referring to. Let's start off with this. What are those 3 categories that you ought to be focusing on? And the 3 categories that you ought to be focusing on, we call them I business. Well, what is I business? I business, that is business that you're going to generate through your generally sphere of influence. Your I business, that business, you're going to find that the majority of real estate agents, even outside of a real estate team, they have I generated business. 77% of the business has this I generated business right here. This I generated business, those are people you have a relationship with. You know them, they know you. It might be at your local church or your PTA or in your neighborhood, maybe in your gym. Maybe it's a book club. Maybe it's just family and friends. Maybe it's people from your past job. It's your I generated business. And most real estate agents have I generated business. And I generated business is really imperative when it comes to being a real estate professional. Most agents, most or all of their business comes from what they would call referrals, repeat business, when you really dive into it. Now, I've had the privilege of coaching real estate agents across the country, and I've met with real estate agents and they say, Rick, the bulk of my business comes from for sale by owners or expires, or maybe even from the internet. But then when I actually dive in and go a little deeper and I look at where their business actually comes from, you know what I find? It's I business. It's repeat business. It's referral business. The California Association of Realtors said that the top 5 ways that somebody generates business, all of them are related to relationship. There's some form of pre-existing relationship. And we call that your I business. And if you're a solo agent, you have, and you're watching this, and maybe you're not on a real estate team, you have your I business now. Now, as a team, we can help you expand on that I business. I'll talk about that in just a moment. We can help you grow that I business, and we can help you better communicate and connect with your I business. But you have your I business if you're a solo agent. What you don't have is the 2 businesses that are yet to come, which are called we generated and team generated business. So how can a real estate team help supplement your I business? Well, coming up here, we'll have a webinar, an online Facebook event to update homeowners on the state of the market. This is a great event for all of our team members to share with their friends and family members their I business. And they're going to be able to hear an update on what's happening with the real estate market, the state of the market, and how it's impacting their community, how it's impacting the homes that they may have desirability of purchasing, and they're going to hear about how it's impacting a home that they potentially own. And by holding this event, we're able to work together as a team to create an event that people want to be a part of. And we'll have thousands and thousands of people that will join in this event. We do them on a periodic basis, whether it's event updating our family and friends on the state of the market, or doing things for the benefit of foster kids with birthday bags and backpacks and all of the things that we do there. All of that's called I generated business. And it's an imperative part of your real estate business. And it's one you never want to give up. Matter of fact, most agents, that's the only business that they have. I would tell you that you are unhealthy to have a business that is only by referral. If you think about it, could you imagine a Walmart that says, well, we only do business by referral, we don't advertise? Or Amazon, we only do business by referral. No, that's not how it works. Coca-Cola, Pepsi, McDonald's, they all market and they all advertise. And referrals or repeat business, that might be a staple of their business, but they're still marketing and advertising. And so by referrals, it frankly is my favorite kind of business. It's people that I go out on the appointment and they already know me. They like me and they trust me. And they generally are ready to sign and list or sign and start looking at homes. And so that's a cherished portion of the business. It's just not the only portion of the business. Let's look at number two. The second kind of business that we want to look at, and I'll share this screen with you as well. We'll go back to this image. And this is what we call we-generated business. Man, this is a powerful section of our business, and really an important piece for us to help generate business together. This we-generated business here, right? Well, what is we-generated business? What you're going to find is that with we-generated business is that this is business that we are doing together. This is the team and the agent working together in synergy. Let me give you an example, and it's certainly not the only example, but I think it helps paint the picture. Open houses are a we-generated business. If you're a team member on our team, let's say a buyer specialist on our team, if you did not have open houses to hold, a variety of open houses to hold, then you would not have that as an option for business. But by the team having lots and lots of listings, whether we do open houses virtually or in person, team members have the ability to hold open those homes. And as they hold open those homes and we market and advertise that as a team, and they prospect and send invitations like it's a party or an event that they're holding in which people engage, by having the listing, they get credibility and the team can market and advertise that, provide the signage and the flyers and the posting necessary, the marketing material, the video, all the while the agent is there present, either sharing the property virtually through our virtual open houses or doing a physical open house. If you think about it, the combination of these two really produce the best results. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, the best results intersect when the team does its part and the team member does their part. If the team properly markets the home, but the team member doesn't want to hold it open, then we attract people to a home that's not available, it's not accessible, and the door's closed in an open house. If the team member is there and the marketing is not there by the team, then the team member is going to eat all the cookies while waiting for somebody to show up at their open house and nobody shows up. But when it's marketed and prospected at the same time, that intersection between marketing and prospecting produces phenomenal results when it comes to we-generated business. Now, I told you it wasn't the only source of business, but a very good source of business through open houses to generate we-generated business. Let me show you another example of what a great we-generated business, and I'll again share my screen with you, and this will give you an idea. I'm going to take you to a website that we have access to. This is our social platform. The current password for this is We Thrive, and you can review through this. And this is a social platform that we've built for you on your behalf. How is this we-generated business? Well, we can create posts on your behalf that reflect the team. You'll see all the tutorials here. And they reflect the teamwork, the team effort, the team CRM, team listings. They're going to be things that are going to be relevant to our San Francisco and Sacramento market. And yet when the consumer clicks on them, it doesn't go to our concierge or marketing, but goes to your sync CRM site. So it automatically loads them. And these could be listings on Facebook. It could be posts on Instagram. These are all done and ready to go for you. Well, some of the ones that we look at are hot homes under 500,000. By clicking on that icon and the corresponding link, you can share properties that are under 500,000. When they click on those properties, it'll take them back to your California Bay Area Homes.com sync subdomain so that you capture those contacts, which will eventually become customers within your CRM. What about the Great Migration? Most people I know know of somebody that has moved from the San Francisco Bay Area to the Sacramento County area, community, Roseville, Folsom, El Dorado Hills, Rockland. Pretty much we all know somebody. So maybe you know somebody within your sphere of influence wants to make that great migration, and there's the post to do it. Fixer-uppers have always been a hot topic, and so you can see some of the fixer-upper options that we have. What about Instagram? There's several various options worth of Instagram-worthy content that can be easily available. And if you don't know how to use them, all the tutorials and videos are here for you. In addition to the listings we have, this becomes lead-generated business. Here's what I have found. Most people, most real estate agents, they have a sphere of influence that likes them and arguably knows them. But when it comes to real estate, especially if they're new in the industry, they may not trust them with the sale of their home. So by providing these posts, by providing listing inventory, by providing aerial drone photography, what happens is your sphere of influence, especially through social media posts and social media updates, what happens is when people think of real estate, they begin to think of you. And when they think of you, because they see you with inventory and property and being successful in the industry, we move that from they like you, they know you, and now they trust you. They trust you with their greatest asset. Combined with a great lead and a great coach and a transaction coordinator that underscores the transaction will ensure that you have the confidence to help your clients and provide them the kind of experience they're excited to tell a friend about. So there's we-generated business. We have I-generated business, which is the 77% of way business is generated throughout all agents throughout the state of California. We generate a business where we work together. We provide you a listing, you can share it. We provide you a social media post, you can share it, you can post it, you can drive back to your Sync domain name. We provide open house opportunities, whether it's digital and virtual open houses or actually physical open houses that you can be a part of. We'll market and advertise them while you host them. The combination of them creates a new form of business that most solo agents don't have. Well, they don't have it because they don't have a team. They're solo, they're by themselves. So the we-generated business be able to provide some solutions there to help you generate more business than you would on your own. Let's go to the third area of business. I'll show you how we generate customers. Let me take it to my photo. I'll get my screen back up. Here we go. And it is our team-generated business. Well, what is team-generated business and why do we use it? Well, here's our team-generated business right here. Team-generated business is really imperative when it comes to any type of business that's being generated from the office. Now, what we found is that most real estate agents, when you think about their business, within a great agent is really three main pieces. First, they got to be a marketer or somebody who's marketing and lead generating and customer generating. They've got to be a marketer. Then they've got to be a scheduler and they've got to be a closer. So what ends up happening is when real estate agents get busy marketing, they naturally have appointments that they're scheduling for. And they begin scheduling appointments on their calendar. And as they get busy scheduling, then they start closing. Well, eventually they get so busy closing with this cycle, what do they stop doing? You guessed it, they stop marketing, advertising, customer generation. So with team-generated business, we've simply taken the marketing role, the scheduling role, and the closing role, and we've decompartmentalized them. In other words, we have made a department for marketing. We call it our marketing specialist. And our marketing specialist, all they do every day that they come into the office, they are busy marketing and advertising. It's what they do. They don't schedule and they don't close. They simply market and advertise. And they're marketing and advertising on sources like Zillow and Google, on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. They're advertising in print, they're advertising digitally, and in every medium across the internet and throughout the community, They are busy marketing. Their job is to get the phone to ring and email to come through so that our concierge, and think about a concierge of that like a hotel concierge, someone designed to take really good care of you, the customer. And our concierge schedules those appointments for our team members, buyer specialist or listing specialist. Now, concierge can do really three things that most team members cannot do on their own. Number one, concierge can create speed to lead. What do we mean by that? Well, after every study I've read, the number one reason why a buyer or seller selects their agent is they were the first one to get back to them. It really had less to do with their qualification or even their reviews online. It was that person was the first one to get back to them. In other words, visibility trumps even credibility. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're visible and we can respond immediately, and concierge creates speed to lead. Currently, we have multiple what we call cash phones. And when those phones ring or the text comes in, email, Facebook Messenger, whatever the method that it comes in, they connect with it immediately. Number two, after we look at what concierge can do from speed to lead, concierge can nurture. It's very difficult for an agent to nurture. When we created the concierge department, what we realized is most agents were really good at month 24. What do I mean by month 24? Statistics show that the average buyer is in the market for 24 months before they actually close escrow and buy a home. So a lot of us would meet a buyer in month 1, month 2, month 3, throughout the process, all the way to month 24. And what I found is that most agents, including myself, were good at month 24, but they missed the opportunities month 1 through 23. In other words, if somebody came into an open house or they called and they were ready to buy a home that month, it was very easy to put them into contract and find the right property, close escrow, and provide them a great experience. But if I had to nurture them for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, all the way up to 2 years, it would often get lost in the cracks. I'll never forget David. David and I went to high school together. And in high school, we were always great friends hanging out. David called me and said, Rick, I'm thinking about buying a home. I'm living in an apartment in Antioch. I said, great, David, I'd be delighted to help you. It was about 6 months, maybe 7 months later, and I'm walking into the local bank, and David's walking out. He says, Rick, I got to tell you, I'm so happy. I just closed escrow today. I'm at the bank wiring over my funds, and I just closed escrow today on my new home. And my heart sank, just like your heart would sink, because David did not use me. David used somebody else. And whose fault was that? Was it David's fault or was it my fault? It was my fault, and I'm going to tell you why. Because David's not in the follow-up business. And David gave me an opportunity, but I didn't nurture that opportunity. I didn't follow up with that opportunity. I didn't follow through on that opportunity. And as a result of that, I called him once, maybe twice. I probably wrote it down back then on a cocktail napkin or a piece of paper or back of a business card. And I just didn't follow up with him. And as a result of that, David found somebody else that helped him purchase his home. And to David, it wasn't a big deal. David didn't think anything about it. To me, I realized that if I didn't nurture, if I didn't care for my clients every step of the way, that I would lose them. And that's the same for you. There is value that you can bring your clients at month 1. If it's a buyer, you might be able to bring them value by sharing with them some of the homes that are on the market, or helping them improve their credit score, or getting them pre-approved. Maybe giving them a pathway to save more money or to improve their credit score. All of these things you can provide a buyer to help them be prepared to buy a home. If it's a seller, you might be able to give them an update on the value of their property or how to prepare their home for sale. Or simply get them pre-approved so that they can make the next purchase. In other words, there's value that we can bring in month 1 all the way to month 24 for the average buyer that takes 24 months to buy a home. To do that, we have a concierge that nurtures those relationships. So when they're ready, we have a team member ready to serve them. Concierge also generates new business outside of those opportunities. For example, currently we're sending out about 100 postcards for every property that we put on the market. Well, we have found that when we put a home on the market, one of those homes within the 100 are going to come up for sale. Statistically, two of them will. So for every 50 homes, we find one of them is going to come up for sale during the course of the listing. Our job in concierge is not to find the 98 no's, but to find the 2 yeses. So we're going to go through the 98 no's to find the 2 yeses on the 100 postcards we're currently sending out. This is just one example of ways that we're generating new business for our team members. A healthy business for our team members include I, we, and team. To have too much I-generated business, you're missing out on the marketing and advertising that we can do together as a team. If you have too much team-generated business, then you're missing out on the sphere of influence that you have. A combination of I, we, and team produces a healthy business. Now, when it comes to marketing, we market in various sources, and I'll tell you why we market the way we do. We market as a team, and that's pretty unique in our local market. And the reason we do that is because it helps produce a return of our investment in marketing and a return on our investment. Let me give you an example. If 2, 3, maybe 4 agents get together and all 4 agents maybe have 20 sales and 20 reviews, then each person decides to market and advertise. Let's just use Zillow as an example. And each person markets on Zillow. And they're one of the 4 agents that populate when somebody is searching for a home on the #1 real estate website. My guess is that if each person had 20 sales and 20 reviews, that they are going to divide the buyer pool 4 ways. Because there's nothing different between each of these agents, at least in the minds of the consumer. Well, all of the agents have 20 sales, 20 reviews. So when we combine those 4 agents, now we have 1 agent amongst this grouping that shows up that has 80 reviews and 80 sales. And what we found is that those agents that have the lion's share of the sales and the reviews in the market get the lion's share of the opportunities or the customers. So now it begins to generate a return on our investment for our advertising efforts. And in other words, when we're marketing and advertising, when we work together, and I expand that from 1 to 4 to now what we're at, which is 45 team members, and we're all combining under one team brand, and we have well over 500 reviews on Zillow and 1,000 total reviews, and we have hundreds of sales and over 1,000 past sales. It helps us stand out from our competitors. Our work together as a team isn't simply addition. I make another sale, I add it to my roster. No, we are about multiplication. Multiplication helps us create a return on our investment, helps us to be able to generate more customers. Recently, I was running the numbers when it comes to Zillow. Zillow is not the only source, but it's one of our key lead sources. You know it because it's one of the #1 searched websites. And we learned that on average, the average customer that calls us, it costs us $300 to generate. And in some sense, we have found that our conversion rate is for every 10 customers we generate from Zillow, 1 of them closes. So that customer took us about $3,000, that one that closed, to generate that effort on Zillow. We're now spending over $10,000 a month on Zillow, hundreds of dollars in Google AdWords, Facebook, retargeting, postcards, social media, both organic, non-organic. Last 2 years, we've gone throughout the San Francisco and Bay Area and launched locations and built reviews through Google My Business. And by us working together and marketing the team while the team member prospects, we're able to provide the best results because our dollars go further and they're more effective and we get the lion's share of the audience. That lion's share helps us create that return on investment that's needed to continue to market and advertise. It's also a big benefit of why we use partners, our lender partners. And our lender partners help us share in that cost. In other words, they help us reduce the costs associated so we can spend more money on marketing and advertising. So when you look at your primary source of business, the primary way that you're going to generate customers, it's going to be I, we, and team. But it's not the only way that you should be generating business, I, we, and team. You should also have a supplemental way. And the supplemental way that you can generate business are through these three sources: referrals, partnerships, and recommendations. Let's break these down a little further of what referrals are, what partnerships are, and what recommendations are. The first one I want to point out is referrals. Now, if you've been in the real estate business for a while, you know of what referrals are. And it's when you have somebody that's moving out of the community. Generally, they're moving outside of San Francisco and Sacramento County. They might be moving to Southern California, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, Texas, all very, very popular. And we have our referral business. Now, our referral business, generally, we're able to receive a 25% referral on our referral business. And this would go to another business outside of our real estate team. This would be the kind of business that we would use when we need to refer somebody outside of our office or outside of our various offices to another person in another company that's going to represent that buyer or seller. It could be that they're selling a home in Texas and buying one in the Bay. It could be that they're selling a home in Sacramento and then they're purchasing a property in, say, Oregon or Nevada or Arizona. And our referrals are a big part of our supplemental income. And what we have found is that the majority of people that are moving outside of their individual community. And so referrals ought to be a part of your business. You ought to be regularly having referrals. And you can take the initiative to find the referrals, the referral or the recipient of that referral on their behalf. And a great way to do that is to reference that while they can interview people, real estate agents, to see if they like them, if they feel comfortable with them, you as a real estate professional, on the behalf of your client, you will interview them to make sure that they're competent. So they can interview them to see if they like them and connect while you interview them for their competency. There's some great websites that can help you do this. You can look and see who is selling the most amount of homes in that given community that your client needs to sell a home in or purchase a home. You could look at, say, Zillow to see who has the most amount of reviews. In some locations, Yelp can be very helpful. I like BNI, Business Network International. There's some strong core ethics associated with those referral partners. I know that there's some accountability in that BNI, Business Network International group. However you choose to find them, you can find 2 or 3 agents to refer to your client. Let your client select that that's the one that they want to use. And typically they're out of community or out of state purchase or sale of their home. And we can make that connection and you can receive a 25% referral fee. And one of the reasons why I call this grouping of business supplemental is that the primary source of your business, if you're a buyer specialist, you're busy helping people buy a home. If you're a listing specialist, you're busy helping list property. The supplemental, it's a great source of business, and it should be really for every person that you're helping buy a home, you should have somebody that you're helping to sell the property through a partnership with one of our team members. And what I have found is I call it a supplement because that supplemental business tends to be a little smaller income checks. Your check is typically a little smaller when you've got a 25% referral fee. But I've also found that the amount of time that you have invested into that transaction or in that situation is also very minimal. You might know them from the community. You might know them from your local church, your PTA, your neighborhood, whatever it might be, your local gym. And you refer them to an agent in, say, Texas or Idaho or Arizona or Nevada. And in that situation, that phone call generated you 25% income. It's a smaller check, but it's also a fraction amount of time that you have invested. Everyone should have several referrals to outgoing agents. I'm going to give you one more suggestion when it comes to outgoing referrals. And I'm going to tell you that it's imperative when you work with outgoing referrals that you require reciprocation. What is reciprocation? Well, you can't have a one-way relationship. They need to agree to reciprocate business back to you. So you could simply have a conversation and ask if they have an agent in the San Francisco Bay Area or Sacramento County that they like to refer business to. Most of them will tell you they don't. And then you ask them, if I refer you business, would you reciprocate and refer me business? And this should become a referral organization that you can now begin to create with this person. And I can think of agents throughout the country that we have referred lots of business throughout the years. They refer me some, I refer them some, and the combination of both of us grow our business and provide our clients the kind of experience they're excited to tell a friend about in that manner. Let's go on to the next source of supplemental business, which I think is going to be really helpful to you as you continue to grow. Let's just take a look at it. And it's called partnerships. Now, partnerships, frankly, is one area in our business that we can do significantly better. This partnerships down here. Now, what I like about partnership is this allows you to continue to remain a specialist, and you now have a partner in this relationship. What am I referring to? Well, if you are a buyer specialist, you might have a partnership with one of our listing specialists. And while you're working with the client to help them find the right home, get it into contract and close, the listing specialist will work with them to help them get the highest possible price with the least amount of inconvenience in the quickest amount of time to sell their home. And if you're a listing specialist, while you're working with them to sell the property, market and advertise and list, you bring a buyer specialist and you have a buyer specialist partnership. You have a partner, and that buyer specialist will help them buy a home. Now, over the years, I've practiced this and I have found that the consumer absolutely gets this. It completely makes sense. And I've learned to even minimize this to what I would call the lowest common denominator. And it sounds something like this. If I were to do a script with you or a role play, and if you were my seller, I would say something along the lines with, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, while I'm working with you to sell a home, my partner buyer specialist will be working with you and helping you find the right home. Friends, you get 2 agents for the price of 1. Would you like to hire us? And if I'm a buyer specialist, I might say, while I'm working diligently to find you that right home, get it into contract and walk you through the process of closing escrow, we have a designated listing specialist. That's their area of focus. That's going to help you get the highest possible price for your home. You get 2 agents for the price of 1. Would you like to hire us? By having this partnership, every buyer needs a seller, and every seller needs a buyer. And most sellers are buying another property, and most sellers they themselves are buying a property. So for us to leave out a part of that equation, you're leaving out a supplemental income. Make sure that you have both your representation of your primary source of your business. You represent them as a buyer specialist, listing specialist, but you're also working in partnership to create that supplemental income. The third form of supplemental income that I'm going to show you today, we call this one recommendations. As we continue to grow our team, what we have found is the number one, by far, best way to grow our team and to continue maintaining the health and culture of our organization, as well as to produce opportunity for leads and coaches within our team, it's to have recommendations by our team members. And recommendations not for buying and selling, but for those that want to get into the real estate industry or that are in the industry and want to join our team. Now, frankly, every week I've talked to somebody that is either interested in getting a license and they're going through the Rick Fuller Institute, and we walk them through with some exceptional class hosts, or they're already licensed and they're only enjoying their I business, and we can add in the we and team business. And we call this recommendation. And it's your recommendation to them that they might be a good fit to join the team. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to bring them on the team. There's a vetting process or certainly an interview process. And we like to make sure that they have 3 critical components: that they are humble, that they are hungry, and they are people smart. If they have these 3 components, they become a really good source of recommendation for us. As you recommend them to the team, There's always 3 ways that they can apply. They can go online to rickfullerinc.com/careers or to the homepage of any of our websites, and they click on the tab. They can watch several videos there and then complete the 3 things that are necessary to join the team and to have a recommendation. Within that recommendation, once they close escrow on their very first home, the very first part of the commission goes to the team member that recommended them. And we provide a $500 thank you gift for every team member that recommends another to our team. Whether they go through the Institute or whether they join our team and they're already licensed, if you recommend them, and you can let our office manager know that they'll be contacting us, and you want to do that from the very beginning because people come to us from all different sources, let them know that that's somebody that you've been talking to about a career in real estate. Maybe you send them my website, maybe you send them our YouTube page with all of the testimonials and the team member stories, and it's a great opportunity to receive a thank you gift of $500. When you add all of these together, it starts to look a little more like this. Your business has a primary way to generate. You know that as I generated, we generated, and team generated. And you should have I business, I clients, I customers, I closings. You should have we customers. You should have we contracts and we closings. And you should have team customers, team clients, contracts, and closings. But it's not your only source of business. You can also have referrals. You can also have partnerships, and you can also have recommendations. And this is what we call your supplemental business. The primary tends to be bigger checks in an area that you are focusing on and creating great mastery in your given specialty. While the supplemental income tends to take a lot less time, but have smaller checks. The combination of these produces the very best results. Now, over the past 15 years, I've had the privilege of having various team members on our team. And I have realized that there are certain activities or behaviors that when completed, they tend to produce the very best results. And over the years, we've had team members that consistently make up $100,000 of net income. We have team members that make $200,000 of net income. And we've had team members that make $300,000 of net income. So we've taken the initiative to identify what are some of the behaviors and what are some of the numbers of those that make 100, 200, or 300,000. I'd like to show you that now. Let me pull that up for you. And today we'll just focus on the benefit of the $100,000 annual net income. And that might be your goal. Matter of fact, as I've met with, well, at this point, probably hundreds of new agents, I have found that most agents, when they come in, they want to make $100,000. They want to have a 6-figure income, and that becomes their WIG, their wildly important goal. And if that's you, that's great. And this is absolutely an industry that you can do that, but there's no ceiling on the 100,000. And for some of you, you should be aiming for 200,000. And for some of you, you should be aiming for 300,000. Let's look at the 3 activities that we have found that help those team members make 100, 200, or 300. The first one, we are in the contact sport business. And you're going to need to make so many contacts. What we have found is, on average, a team member that makes $100,000 makes 34 contacts per week. Now, if you think about these are like activities. If you had an aspiration or goal to lose weight, you wouldn't necessarily go step on the scale every morning and look at the scale without doing any activities. You might go running, you might eat better, you might drink more water. There might be various activities that you do, and those activities produce a result, which is the reduction of the number on the scale. Well, that's no different than with our real estate business. With our real estate business, the activities, which we call lead measures, they lead up to a lag measure or a result. And those results equate to our annual goal. So those that are performing the activity of making 34 contacts, which includes calls, emails, or texts about real estate related information. They're connecting with people, they're updating. Maybe somebody came through your open house. Maybe somebody responded to that we-generated social media post. Or maybe you're following up and nurturing and cultivating the relationship you have with a team-generated customer. By making 34 calls, emails, and texts, those are outbound activities, those team members generated $100,000 of annual net income. Number two, those that had a one new review per week. Now, what's the value of a review? Well, I have found that about 50% of our business comes from the internet, and about 50% of our business comes from a personal referral. By not having reviews for a team member on the internet, it tends, especially with a team that has 1,000 5-star reviews, it's very difficult to have to get the customer to actually want to meet with you. As an example, if the customer is looking at our Zillow page and we're recommending that that particular customer meet with a team member, and that team member has 0 reviews, and a team member above them has 30 or 40 reviews, they often want to meet with a team member that has 30 or 40 reviews. So by generating one new review, in this case on Zillow, per week, will help you have a healthy review volume, which makes it easier for you to refer. You'll also find that by having reviews online, when people search for your name on Google, they tend to populate, and it tends to populate when you have 5-star reviews with multiple stars behind your name. And that's very, very helpful in providing a third-party endorsement. I'm convinced that more people are Googling now, looking at who you are and looking at your reviews and the experience that you've provided others. And by you being proactive in generating reviews, it'll provide a holistic approach to your review business. I'll give you a perfect example. Just today, I was on the phone with an agent that got a 2-star review. This agent is not a part of our team. This agent lives outside of our area, and he was just devastated that somebody left him a 2-star review. But we had started working on this well over 5 years ago, and he has hundreds of local reviews, hundreds. And so that 2-star review fit in with the other hundreds of 5-star reviews that he had, and he had taken a proactive, and it was a well-balanced approach to his customer generation and his customer reviews. Outside of that, if he would not have been proactive but simply reactive, he would have only one review, and it would be that 2-star review. Most consumers can read those reviews and see the scope of hundreds of 5-star reviews in contrast to the one negative review. In order to do that, you got to be proactive and you got to generate reviews. So the successful team members, one of the key activities we have found is they generate new reviews. And Zillow is a great place to do this because it'll allow you to actually have a team member profile that'll allow you to generate reviews for yourself. And the third one is 1 hour of training. What do you say when you're on the call? What do you put in the email? What do you type in on the text? By knowing the right scripts, the right dialogues, to move a contact to a customer, and a customer to a client, and a client to a contract, and eventually a contract to a close, and a close to a commission. By being able to move and hit base hits rather than just trying to meet somebody and close escrow, by knowing what to do and what to say and spending an hour each week in training will help you be more effective with your contacts. And by having more reviews will help you build your online profile. Those 3 activities we have found can produce on a monthly basis 16 new customers. Not all of those customers are going to be ready to meet with you. And so they will then generate 8 appointments, 8 face-to-face, or in this world that we're in now, the environment, perhaps through Zoom or through other, maybe it's a phone appointment. And those appointments lead not to a customer, now to a client. If you think about it, if you were to shop at a retail store, we were to walk into a retail store, we could go to Best Buy, we can go to Fry's, we can go to Walmart, we can go to Target. We could shop at any of these stores, and we're customers of these stores. But the moment you have a client, that is exclusive to you. It is exclusive to you. And the buyer rep or the listing agreement moves them from a customer to a client. And finally, those that generate 4 new clients a month typically have 1.5 closings. We multiply that over the course of a year, it equates to slightly over 100,000 in annual net income. You can take this pattern as your business continues to grow and expand that to what would I need to do if I would like to make 200,000 or even 300,000 of net income. And we've had team members throughout the years that typically can make all 3 of these. And what you want to focus on is these activities that need to be completed on a weekly basis so that the results come. Don't focus on the scale. If you were to use a metaphor of losing weight, don't focus on the number on the scale declining, you losing weight. Focus on the times you've gone to the gym, the times that you've eaten right. Focus on the amount of running that you've done, or the amount of walking or hiking or swimming or biking or whatever your chosen activity. If you focus on doing those activities, the number on the scale will drop. That's the same thing in our real estate business. By focusing on the contacts, focusing on the reviews, and focusing on the training, you will find that customers will be coming in. Appointments will be set. Clients will be served, and closings will occur. All by focusing on those 3 activities. Some of those customers will be I customers. Some will be we, some will be team. We can help you generate all of them. So friends, I'm often asked, what's the number 1 thing that an agent should do to be moved from a struggling agent to a successful agent? Their ability to stay focused on the things that matter most is the difference. Focus your energy on customer generation through the I, we, and team, through the referrals, partnerships, and recommendations. Focus your energy on converting from customer to client to contract to close. And the final thing, make sure that you're delivering the kind of experience that everybody you serve would be excited to tell a friend about. And if you do that, you will absolutely not be one of the struggling agents, but one of the successful agents. And we're here to serve and support you every step of the way, because together we serve.